Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Train Aid HQ. My name is Nick, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at the Level 3 certificate in assessing vocational achievement, otherwise known as the CAVA course. And we are going to be looking at our workplace assessment model answer 3. If you're new here, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive the latest alerts and updates from the Train Aid team. So the purpose of this video is to give you lots of help and guidance with completing the CAVA course, especially the workplace assessment. So as you know, for workplace assessments, that is where you're observing someone within their day-to-day working role and assessing their performance. So you could assess a colleague, or it could be an ex-colleague, for example, but they should have some knowledge or understanding of your own subject specialism. So we'll come on to that a little bit more later on. But the purpose of this video, once again, is to really show you what a completed assessment example looks like. And hopefully this is going to help you to navigate through your own assessments. But of course, if you are requiring some further support, please do reach out to the team here at Train Aid and we will be able to help you. So for this assessment, we are looking at a candidate, Harley Jones, who is a qualified barber for this assessment example. So we're just going to start off with section 1. So as we know, this is your assessment front sheet. If you are undertaking the CAVA course, you are the candidate assessor. So please put in your name, the course location. So this is the course format. So if you have done the classroom course, the webinar, or the online self-paced course, please do write that in, and also your course start date as well. Below, we have the assessment and learner details. This is the person you are assessing. So for my example, I am focusing on observing a barber. Okay, this is the learner's name, Harley Jones. We also have the assessment location in Bell Street Barbers, based in Reigate, Surrey, and also the assessment date. This is obviously when the assessment will be held. So this is the date there. So I've also highlighted, I have circled workplace number 3. So it's nice and clear for our marking team to understand which assessment this is for. Okay, so let's get on to section 2, which is the initial assessment stage. So this is finding out more information about the learner that will be experiencing the assessment. So as we can see here, the learner's name is Harley Jones. Okay, so for your own assessment, please do write the name just at the top there. As we can see, we have Harley. So please write the name of the person you are assessing. Also, how experienced is the learner that you will be assessing? So ideally, the learner should have some knowledge or understanding of your subject specialism. The learner could be a current colleague, it could be an ex-colleague, it could be an apprentice, a manager, a friend, or even a family member, but they should have some subject knowledge that you are confident when obviously assessing them. And you also need to see them within their working role. So Harley is a very experienced barber with over 10 years of professional barber and hairdressing experience. He has a range of qualifications within hairdressing and barbering. And what I'll be doing for this assessment is I will be seeing him conduct a haircut on a customer. So quite a simple assessment that Harley is very familiar with. The next step is to obviously describe the environment that the assessment will take place within. Please include as much details as possible here, such as the time, the location, the venue, and also the conditions as well. So for my assessment, this will take place within Harley's workplace. This is Bell Street Barbers based in Reigate, Surrey. We've also included the date and time of the assessments. And the next question is to describe the qualification or the criteria that the learner will be assessed for. I am going to be using the level 2 technical certificate in barbering. So this is a City and Guilds based qualification. This qualification is one that Harley has achieved previously. So he is familiar with the standards whilst studying to become a barber. So I'll be using those standards there. So please do think about the standards or criteria that you are going to be using for your very own assessment here. Later on, within the initial assessment stage, we're just looking to identify and explain any additional support needs for the learner. Excuse me. So if your learner does require any support, whether it's extra time, a reader, a scribe, a support staff member to support the learner with the assessment, that is absolutely fine for you to make those reasonable adjustments. So please do make those provisions there. But for Harley's assessment, no additional support is needed. The final question is, will there be a qualified assessor present? So either put a yes or a no or a not applicable. So obviously one of your assessments needs to be observed by a qualified assessor. So just put a yes or no there if a qualified assessor is present. We also have the learner confirmation as well. This is to say, I confirm that I am happy for my work to be part of the assessment portfolio with TrainAid. And we require the learner to put their name, a signature from the learner, so either an electronic or typed signature, and the date as well. So that's for Harley to acknowledge that he is happy for the assessments to be observed for the assessment there. So we just require a signature just from the learner. The next step is the assessment plan. So obviously section 3 is all about finding out some more information about the assessment. Please include the date, the time, and also the location as well. A common question is, Nick, how long should assessment be? So I think anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes all the way to an hour. An hour maximum should be sufficient there. So my assessment, this haircut will be 40 minutes. Okay, 40 minutes long. Please include a description of the assessment activity and also any pre-assessment targets. So for this planned activity, I will observe Harley conducting a haircut on a customer within his working role at Bell Street Barbers in Reigate in Surrey. So Harley will need to greet the client and conduct a customer consultation. Harley will need to conduct a haircut and check in with the customer to see whether or not they like the haircut, and also, just to gain some feedback from the client. And furthermore, Harley will need to charge the client for the service and provide a receipt as well to the customer. I will be using the level 2 certificate in hairdressing, City and Guild standards, and I will ask some questions to Harley after the assessment as well. Pre-assessment targets, well, this is essentially targets that you will provide the learner in order to prepare them for the assessment. So it's always good to give some targets to help the learner to prepare for the assessment as well. So I have asked Harley to revise the level 2 certificate in level 2 certificate in hairdressing, City and Guild standards. I've also asked Harley to review the Bell Street Barbers customer service handbook as well, just to make him, just to revise so he's aware of the standards I'll be using. Later on, just in this section, the workplace assessment methods. These are the observation questions and also a work product or a product of work. So all of our workplace assessments must contain those 3 assessment methods. Once again, any special requirements identified, not applicable for this assessment. And we also have a section where obviously this is going to be signed by both the learner and also myself to say that we're happy with the assessment plan. We understand the assessment going forwards. So we just require an electronic or typed signature from the learner and also yourself, the candidate assessor as well. So do include that there. So that is section 3. Section 4 is all about workplace assessment criteria or standards. And what this means is that when you're observing your learner within their working role, you must use some type of standards, criteria, instructions in order to make a judgment call on the learner performing their day-to-day role. So ourselves as assessors, we need to find some type of standards or criteria which is going to be useful when using this as a judgment call. Now, the criteria or standards can be, a page or 2 pages maximum, and they can be found within an awarding body website. It can be found within, say, a staff or company handbook, or any type of company procedures or policies. This is going to be fantastic evidence as well, because this shows you how the learner should perform within their day-to-day role. My advice is for any type of standards or criteria to be numbered or lettered, because this is going to make it easier for you when you're mapping your criteria to your observation notes as well. Below, we have an example. So this has been taken from the City and Guilds website. As we can see here, this unit is on how to cut hair using basic techniques. Okay, so in other words, this criteria, which is 2 pages long, is numbered and lettered, and it has a set of instructions on how to cut hair. So this is the qualification criteria that I am going to be using when making that judgment call on Harley when he is conducting the observation. So when he's carrying out the actual haircut, I'll be using the standard. So I'll show you just in a moment, but try to include a page or 2 pages of your criteria. If you can't find any criteria, then of course you can create them. That's absolutely fine. I would personally number your criteria and also make sure your learner is aware of the criteria. They understand what it all means as well. Now, section 5 is the product of work evidence. Now, a product of work is any evidence that's produced by the learner during the assessment. So it could be photos, it could be pictures of items which the learner has created. So, for example, it could be a haircut which has been produced by the hairdresser. So that is a product of work. Other products of work could be perhaps a customer receipt. It could be a risk assessment completed by the learner. It could be a work sign-in sheet, a lesson or session plan created by the learner. So that's going to obviously support the assessment. Once again, a classroom register or a completed client consultation form. So within workplace assessments, you need to show us a product of work here. Let's have a look at mine. So this example is the online customer booking confirmation here. So as we can see, this is very much a receipt which is given to the learner. So it's a confirmation that the haircut has been booked in. So Harley will use this as part of his day-to-day role, and that's a key example there of a product of work. So think about these examples here, and you can include a photo of a product of work within this section as well. Now, we're just on to the observation reports. So for workplace assessments, you must observe the learner within their working role, essentially. And what you must do is you must write an observation report based on their performance, but you must also map your observation to your standards or criteria. Now, this is where the letters or the numbers come into play. So let's just have a look at the top of the observation report. We have obviously the learner's name, the candidate assessor name, that is me, who is going to be assessing Harley. We have the date, the location, so please do complete that. And the assessment methods, as we know, these are observation, a work product, and also Q&A as well, to be asked to the learner after the assessment has taken place. Now, just a few things with the observation. As we know, please remember to observe the learner objectively within their day-to-day working role. Remember to map the learner's performance to standards or criteria, and also to remain objective during the observation. So to put this into to picture, I observed Harley cutting the hair of a customer. So as we can see, I have my observation notes on the left-hand side here, and each of the observation notes have been mapped to my criteria. So just remember, if I go back up to this criteria here, I'm mapping what I see against the criteria from my standards here. So just remember, you will need to do this for your very own workplace assessment as well. So it might be easier if you once again do number your criteria. Okay, but let's just have a read of some of my comments. So Harley checked his working area and organized all of his equipment in preparation for the client's haircut appointments. Harley took into account health and safety requirements of the salon. The area was clean and presentable, ready for the client's haircut. And that is mapped criteria 1.1a. And as we can see, as we go through the observation, I'm once again mapping to my criteria as well. So do try to do that. Once again, the observation is typed in this example, but of course you can handwrite your observation notes. That's absolutely fine. So you could handwrite it and scan it to this document. That's absolutely fine. Or you can obviously make notes and you can type up your observation. Either is absolutely fine, but this evidence reference column must be completed as well. So everything that you see should be mapped to your criteria as well. So please have a look at the observation report. That is quite in detail. It doesn't need to be as detailed as that, but I'd say 1 page of observation notes is absolutely fine there. So hopefully that's nice and clear. Section 7 is the Q&A section. This is to be asked to the learner post observation. So please do plan somewhere between 5 to 6 questions to be asked to the learner after the assessment observation. So we have observed the learner, in this case, cutting the hair of a customer, and now we are going to ask 5 to 6 questions to Harley regarding the assessment. So we're not telling Harley the result yet. A few things on the question and answer criteria. All questions should be relevant to the assessment criteria and standards. Please map your questions prior to the observation. So sorry, please do plan your questions prior to the observation, so you already have these written down in preparation for your observation. Remember to record the learner's answers to each question you ask, and please ask questions away from the assessment area within a quiet location as well. As we can see, all of my 6 questions are mapped to my criteria as well. So what that means is that all questions are relevant to the qualification criteria. So I am not asking any questions which are going to confuse the learner. We don't want that to happen. So when it comes to your own questions, always make sure that they're relevant to the criteria. So question 1 is, who is responsible for the maintenance of the barbering equipment and the area? And Harley has responded with his answer. So I'm writing the answer, what Harley is describing word for word. So the barber is responsible for the presentation of the barber chair and surrounding area. The barber must look after all equipment and conduct a clean and check-in between each haircut and beard trim. So as we can see, the actual questions are mapped all the way back to my standards and criteria here. So 1.1 is prepare for cutting services. So hopefully that is nice and clear. So do aim for between 5 to 6 questions. Just remember to ask these questions within a quiet area, away from, of course, any noise. And this is going to be really helpful for your learner as well. So once again, 5 to 6 questions, and you are mapping all of the questions to the evidence criteria there. Okay. But always plan your assessments, always plan your questions prior to the assessment taking place. Okay, we're making very good progress through this assessment. Now, section 8 is photographic evidence. So please do aim to include somewhere between 5 to 6 photos for each assessment. You do not need to include the face of the learner. So if you're working within perhaps a sensitive or confidential workplace, you don't need to take photos of the learner's face. It could be the back of the learner's face, or you could even blank out the learner's face. You may even wish to take photos of the assessment environment, but do try to include somewhere between 5 to 6 photos. So in regards to this assessment, as you can see, I have a good range of photos, starting with the equipment setup, Carly really briefing the customer about what haircut he desires, and also demonstrating the different tools that the barber is using. And we also have the final product here as well. So the assessment photos are coming full circle from the start all the way to the end of the haircut. Now, it's very important that we do describe each of our photos to explain what the photo is showing. So obviously photo A has the tool setup. Photo B, as we can see there, this is Harley conducting the client consultation and using the comb and water spray to prepare for the haircut as well. So do describe each of your photos. You can, of course, include the criteria. So you could say what the photo is showing in terms of mapping this to your criteria. That is absolutely fine to include as well. Do remember to include the learner's name, the assessment location once again, and also just remember to sign the photographic evidence section, and also ask the learner to sign this as well. We also have the assessment date there, so do include that, as we know. Okay, after the photographic evidence section, we have obviously section number 9, which is the post-assessment feedback. So as we know, the post-assessment feedback should be provided to the learner in private, away from the assessment environment where it can be quite noisy. So try to locate a quiet environment for this stage to happen. So step 1, learner assessment feedback. This is the person you are assessing. So please do ask the learner how they thought the assessment went. Did the learner have enough time to prepare for the assessment? Were they comfortable within the assessment? So this is where you are asking the learner how they thought the assessment went. Okay, and this is Harley's response. So the assessor, Nick, explained the purpose of the haircut assessment clearly, away from the busy salon shop floor. I had the opportunity to ask questions prior to the assessment taking place, and Nick clarified the standards and criteria he would be using to judge me during the observation. So there's a lot of positive feedback for me, the assessor, to take on board. I'm finding out about how he found the assessment in terms of the instructions, the pre-assessment targets, all of those things. And that is really useful information for me to take on board. So that is step 1. The learner assessment feedback is how the learner found the assessment. Step 2 is the candidate assessor feedback to the learner. So this is thinking about what are the learner's strengths, the areas for development. So, did the learner pass the assessment overall? You know, if they failed the assessment, then of course, you know, a reassessment will need to be arranged. But for here, we would like for you to pick out 2 to 3 strengths. What did they do well? And also aim to provide perhaps an area for development as well. So Harley passed the assessment on this assessment. He did a very thorough work assessment check. He showed excellent customer service skills with the customer, and the customer was very satisfied with the style of the haircut as well. So I've given some feedback there for Harley to take on board. The final section 10, is the action plan and assessment sign off. So for this section, you can provide your learner with some targets to take forward in preparation for their next assessment. This could be perhaps to attend CPD courses. It could be to shadow perhaps another trainer, assessor. It could even be reading the staff handbook, or even chairing a meeting as well. So you can obviously provide perhaps you know, some targets for the learner to take on board. It could even be reading a staff handbook once again, or perhaps observing another staff member as well. We also require for the learner to sign and date the assessment as the final part of the assessment, and also you will need to sign and date the assessment here as a candidate assessor. Now, those are our 10 stages for our workplace assessments. Okay, so obviously this is workplace assessment number 3. Okay. Thank you very much for watching our video. Once again, please do like the video and subscribe to TrainAid. And any questions regarding your assessments, please do get in contact with the team. And finally, we hope to see you on one of our courses. Bye for now.